Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the SoCal Prep Report. I'm Richard Stray, along with Bob Gibson, and we're certainly glad you joined us, Bob, getting down to the nitty-gritty. But before that, Bob, how was your football week, buddy?
It was good. The Rams had the bye. That's my pro team, so no win, no loss this week. But my fantasy football team got a win this week.
You got that. That's good. You finally got one.
I like that. Well, finally got one.
Good for you, bud. Good for you. All right, let's take a look at our social media, if you will. You can get us here at the SoCal Prep Report via the following. I believe we got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So be looking up SoCal Prep Report. There they are, right there across the bottom right here. So I think. And get a hold of us. We'd like to hear from you. Go ahead and complain, especially complain about Bob if you get a shot.
That's true.
You know, Bob's bucking for a raise already, so he you know, they don't want to give it to you, so they got to get all the negative comments, Bob.
Did you hear this too? Just real quick, a little sidebar. I kept hearing this today. The best 2 words in sports, Game 7. Are you out of your mind? The best 2 words in sports are world champions. Or in the case of high school, national champions, which modern day we're going to talk about a little bit, has a chance to be this year.
We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Right now, let's take a look at the scoreboard from last week. See how your local favorites did in no particular order, and just at random we picked these scores. Here's Whittier and Pioneer in the Del Rio League. You know, Pioneer got that brand new stadium, Bob, and their play picked up for a year, but this year it's been a little slow. They're having a tough time in that Del Rio League, but look at the score. 11-10. When was the last time you saw an 11-10 score anywhere?
Who got the save? That's what I want to know, right?
Well,
it's a baseball score.
It was a great game. Jose Estrada kicked a 20-yarder for Whittier to win with 6 minutes to play. Now, this kid had never kicked in his life. He'd never kicked a field goal anywhere, never played in a game. He was the backup guy. He probably plays DB or something, but their kicker couldn't make the trip for whatever reason. I think he's hurt or something. So it's great having your first field goal be the game winner.
No kidding.
In your league.
Now, and even better now, they're tied with Cal in that league for 3rd place. Of course, Santa Fe 4-0 and Lacerda second at 3-1.
Right.
So this puts them in a spot now where they can get one of those playoff spots out of that Del Rio League.
And
That's
what about the balance of power changing in the Del Rio League? Santa Fe is undefeated in league. Now, when these guys win, by the way, the Del Rio League winning the league play, everybody was under 500. It was under 500 league. It's like that 6-foot under league, Bob, they talk about.
Oh, you know.
This was the under 500 league, but Santa Fe's been able to put together a string of victories. They're 5-0, one more win. They will go undefeated in league and then head to the playoffs. And as we mentioned, Lacerda's been the power in the last decade or so in that league. It used to be Santa Fe, then it's gone to Lacerda. Now it's going back to Santa Fe. And the reason, I mean, Lacerda went with the 4 or 5 finals.
Yeah, right.
And they won a few. But one game they lost like by 80 points, man. We won't talk about that, though. You know, why bring that up, right?
No. We don't want to talk about a game you lost that big.
All right, let's continue on, and let's take a look at the Whittier Christian Valley Christian score from last week. Whittier Christian got beat big. Now, Whittier Christian is probably maybe a little bit bigger than Valley Christian in terms of enrollment, but, man, Valley just took it to them. Don't forget, Valley was in the state finals last year, in the playoffs. So
we know that Whittier Christian program has been really good over the past decade and a half or so. Right, but you're right, Valley Christian, man, that is a team to look out for. It looks like they're playing their best football right now at the best time of the year, which is always at the end of the season.
Absolutely. But anyways, big win for Valley. I expect to see them back in the state playoffs. We'll see. Whittier Christian, I don't know. Doesn't look good at this point, Bob.
Well,
they lost the battle of the Christian schools there.
They lose by 48 points, whatever it is right there. That's not good. That's not good.
All right, let's continue on. This next score, you know, we're sitting here and we're getting ready for the show. And, of course, all the everybody's here working, man, except me and Bob. You know, we're kind of relaxing, chowing. But we figured out there's no East Torrance, and we just found out why. One of our esteemed colleagues here went to one of the Torrance schools and said there's no East, man. We got plenty of schools. We got 10 schools in there, 10 high schools or something like that.
Because we have a Torrance, we don't need an East Torrance.
Yeah, we don't need East.
But we got a West Torrance.
We got a West, North, South, you know, got you got everything.
1 point better than losing her last week, 42-41.
Got this score up to because it was a 1-point game. Losing there was the heavy favorite in this game, Bob. I don't know how West Torrance pulled it out.
Wait,
I have no idea.
North is pacing the Pioneer League at 4-0.
Yep.
And this puts West Torrance on a 3-game winning streak now.
Darn right. They get in the league, they tear it up, baby.
They're only 4-5 overall, but 3 league wins. So, again, another team hitting their stride at the end of the year. This is the time you want to be playing your best football. You have to be playing it now. West Torrance is right now.
Absolutely. All right, continuing on, let's take a look at some other scores. It was the San Gabriel Valley League. Now, there was a time when Linwood and Dominguez were 2 of the best schools in the state, much less Southern California, but they met up again for the 275th time in their history, Bob, and Dominguez lost 21-20.
40 years ago, this is our lead story right here, Linwood Dominguez, but yeah, not been really good times for either school in recent years. But
Dominguez lost to Donnerson's. Dominguez was tearing it up on the Donnersons. Keith and Willie Donnerson were running that program. They went to umpteen CIF championship games, and prior to that, Linwood was tearing it up. Linwood in the 80s and 90s was unbelievable.
Linwood was big. You're right. There was a stretch there in the 80s, and Linwood was the team.
They just weren't powerhouses in football. They were powerhouses in basketball, too. But again, 21-20, that's a good game right there. It's that San Gabriel Valley League football. They call it the Black and Blue League because every week you're bruised up from your game. I don't care who's playing. It's a tough league. It's crazy out there.
That's good football.
All right, let's go to the Suburban League. Artesia 87, Cerritos 32. Now, Bob, I don't know. I mean, 87? But now, Artesia's in Lakewood. It's not in the city of Artesia. It's actually in the city of Lakewood, and Cerritos is in Cerritos. But my Lord, 87 points.
Well, we got some basketball scores coming up here on the rest of the scoreboard. So
that looks like a girls' score right there when Artesia had a powerhouse girls team.
Put on your seatbelt because we got some. Hey, this is 3 times Artesia scored at least 40 points this season, and now they get 87.
Well, you can't blame Bob. Artesia, they've been getting their butts kicked in that Suburban League for a long time with La Mirada and Mayfair.
La Mirada and Mayfair have been a clear class of that league. La Mirada has just steamrolled everybody, over the last, 5, 6, 7 years here. But now we're starting to see it turn just a little bit in that league now, aren't we?
It's crazy. Thanks, Allison. That was nice of you, man. Finally getting our cluck up, Bob. How about that? Looks nice, huh?
Looks nice. I like that.
I like the way the second hand goes. And
nobody
the
at home can see what we're looking at, but that's okay.
That's all right. Let's move on.
Trust us. This is good stuff.
All right, let's move down to the Trinity League now. We don't like to go there a lot because they are the story in the nation, not just Southern California. But look at this score, Bob. This is an upset. Santa Margarita 36, J. Sarah 35. It was just like 2 weeks ago. J. Sarah was in top 15 in the country.
Or is it an upset?
They finally lost the game.
Because, J. Sarah lost to Mater Dei, and we thought, well,
everybody loses to Mater Dei.
But I think
the Rams would lose to Mater Dei.
J. Sarah was a little exposed in that game, and Santa Margarita, you talk about a team playing their best football now. They actually they played right with Mater Dei for certain sections of that league opening game with the Monarchs. Santa Margarita was in it. They scored a whole bunch of points. Yeah, they gave up 70 points in the game. I think it was 70-32 was the final, but Santa Margarita showed they could hang with Mater Dei a little bit, as much as anybody has this year. So this score doesn't surprise me that Santa Margarita now, I think they got a lot of confidence coming out of that Mater Dei game. I think Santa Margarita clearly now the third best team in this league right now, and I think if they played Bosco right now, we might see a little different story. I don't know. I'm not saying they beat Bosco, but Bosco's still Bosco. But it's Mater Dei, Bosco, and Santa Margarita, and then it's everybody else after that. Those are the 3 teams right now in the Trinity.
That league is a mess. Everybody went into that league with in their preseason they had 5 games. They lost like 2. That league was like 30-2 or something like that.
Orange Lutheran's going to finish last in that league without a league win, and Orange Lutheran could beat anybody else in Southern California.
Isn't it sad?
Anyone.
Get out of that league, man. Petition. Get out.
That's called a tough sledding.
If you were to break up that league, just cut it in half. But you can't do that, Bob, because these schools all recruit, man. It's different. They're a different playing field, my friend.
Here's a much bigger story.
That's why they're all so good.
We're not going to get into it right now. We'll get into it later. But there's talk of taking that league and splitting up into 2 divisions and expanding the Trinity League.
They should.
Right?
Trinity League North and Trinity League South.
There you go.
Put the Mission in there with them. Put the Mission in there with them. Throw Chaminade, right? Greatest team in the nation. Boy, they almost got beat this week.
These teams could travel anywhere, right? You put those great teams in a Trinity league like that, and you let them battle it out in a couple of different divisions. Have a big Super Bowl at the end with those teams.
I would love to see that. Man. Maybe we're headed that way with this league.
I think we are.
All right, so we thought Artesia scoring 87 last night was huge, and let me tell you something. I was like 15 scores this week, where teams scored 70 or more.
Look at this.
And look at this one, Coast Union from Cambria, California, 90. Shandon 6. Now, Bob, what do you know about this game?
This team, Coast Union, has been all over the map this year. Real quick here. They gave up 58 and 66 points in their first 2 games. Gave up those 2.
And they still
58
won.
and 66. No, they lost those games. Okay? They've scored 72 points twice this season.
Didn't they beat Mater Dei this year?
Back in September and October, a month apart, they scored 72, so we know they can score some points. Another game they won this year, guess what the final score was?
I have probably 200-7. Cumberland score?
1-0.
You can't score 1-0, Bob.
1-0. It was forfeit.
Forfeit's 2 points. That's a mistake.
No. Cuyama Valley.
A forfeit is 2 points. Call Robbie Wygott and Tom Simmons. They'll tell you a forfeit is 2 points.
I don't know. I think in high school it actually is 1-0.
It's 2.
All right.
I'm telling you, you can't have one point.
We'll get the commissioner on next week. We're going to ask him.
You can't have a 1 point play because you can't kick an extra point and win the game.
You are correct.
So they give you the smallest point possible to total, and that would be a safety.
2 points.
That's 2 points.
All right. Well, if it is 2-0, there was a forfeit. Is the whole thing? There was a forfeit.
Get on the social media and set Bob straight.
So a team that scored was given a 2-0 win back on October 6th.
Yes.
Now just had a 90-6 win.
Yeah, 90 points.
There you go.
Yeah. Everybody does that,
It's been
right?
a heck of a season for Coast Union.
That's ridiculous. 90 points. And now Long Beach probably scored, what, 99 against Jordan?
Right.
And I don't know why they didn't. I always would have went for 100. I mean, if you're at 99, you may as well go for 100, man. Do something, right?
You already ran it up that high. You might as well go for it, right?
But you know what? Once you hit that triple digit, you're done, man. Yeah. People are going to, boy.
Everyone's going to come, right.
Sportsmanship, baby.
Yeah,
Sportsmanship.
And
it wasn't personal at all. It was just that year, Jordan just was not that good. They couldn't tackle. And when you're playing Long Beach Poly, you better wrap up and be able to tackle because once they break one, it's gone.
Well, you better be running the football at that point, too, not throwing the football. If you're running it and they can't stop you, that's one thing. If you're trying to throw it and run up a score, that's a whole different issue.
No, I don't think it was like that.
No, I don't think it was either.
All right, let's continue on now. Let's take a look at the CIF Southern Section top 10. Bob, we're going to look at the top 10? There we go.
There it is. It's right behind you.
No change, except for Mission Viejo, San Clemente move up. J. Sarah moves down. Santa Margarita, even though they won that game, Bob, I don't know. I don't know why they did that. I think I would have had Santa Margarita over J. Sarah, but
clearly,
you know how it is around here, Bob, with the rankings. Well, everybody's got their friends. They got their buzz. They're taking payola to put the teams higher.
Technically, J. Sarah still has a better overall record than Santa Margarita, but come on. Santa Margarita, the Eagles get the win over J. Sarah. They've got to move up there. As far as I'm concerned, right, look at this. Mission Viejo, San Clemente. Now, the winner of that game, we're going to talk about that game in just a couple of minutes, but the winner of that will move up and take that number 4 spot, assuming Bosco and Centennial win, right? We're assuming wins here in those top 3. But I'll tell you, this is going to be an epic battle between 4 and 5 coming up right here.
The top 3, nobody's losing another game.
I hear you.
Until CIF when Bosco and Mater Dei meet, or Centennial meets one of those two guys.
Right. Centennial's going to meet one of those, and it's going to be war.
Mission Viejo, San Clemente. All right? One of those two guys is moving on. One of those guys is going to be dropping down a little bit. I don't know. We're going to see what happens.
That may not change that, though. Depending on what Poly and Upland do here, that may not change. That may just stay. If San Clemente wins, they may just flip those two.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll need to preview this.
We'll see.
Upland's still hanging tough at number 7. They scored 70 points this week themselves, or close to it. Yep. And Rancho Cucamonga sneaking back in. You know, Rancho Cucamonga's only loss was to Upland. But it was so decisive, in my opinion.
Upland won that decisively. You're absolutely right.
And everybody wanted Upland in there, so they're in there, brother.
It's a good win, though.
They're in there. I like that. Okay, I guess we're going to go now. Let's go to Carlos Peña. And Carlos Peña is going to take a look at the high and low desert for us. Carlos.
Welcome to this week's SoCal Prep Report. I'm Carlos Peña, and I'm bringing you football from a high desert. Tonight, we have Barstow taking on Adelanto. Let's take it to the action now. And Barstow strikes first with his 10-yard handoff run from quarterback Joshua Mendoza to running back Isaiah Hardy. Barstow leads 7-0. With less than 2 minutes in the first quarter, Joshua Mendoza hands off the ball to fullback Fidel Martinez, who ran the ball 80 yards for the score. 14-0 Barstow. Heading into the second quarter, Barstow once again finds the end zone. Isaiah Hardy sneaks in for the touchdown. Less than 10 seconds left in the half, Adelanto quarterback finds the end zone, 21-6. Adelanto's 2-point conversion will stop, taking us into the half. Barstow at the top of the third quarter handed off the ball to fullback Fidel Martinez, who once again ran 80 yards for the score, 28-6 Barstow. With 3 minutes remaining in the quarter, Fidel Martinez found a huge hole, 70 yards for the score, 34-6. Adelanto would block the point after. Top of the fourth quarter, and Barstow Joshua Mendoza hands the ball to number 7, Devin Green, for the score. Backup quarterback number 6, Nathan Clark, comes in to close things out with a handoff to number 5, Antonio Ili, for the score, 47-6 Aztecs. Barstow is now 2-1 in league play and is poised to take on Victor Valley for the number 2 spot in the Desert Sky League next week to finish off their season. Let's take a look at the scores from around the desert. Silverado 72, Granite Hills 18. Apple Valley 42, Sultana 13. Burroughs 40, Serrano 38. Oak Hills 42, Hesperia 10. Silver Valley 41, Riverside Prep 20. Big Bear 49, Excelsior 13. Next week, Big Bear lumbers down from the mountains to take on Riverside Prep to finish off their season. That concludes this report from the high desert. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Carlos Peña.
Big Bear again.
Big Bear's tearing it up, man.
They are indeed.
Lake Arrowhead lost this week, but they played the Raiders, so they expected them to lose this week. They're playing a pro team.
But Big Bear's getting it done.
Yeah. Well, Big Bear, like I said, it's tough up there, man. Those kids are tough, man. They're fighting bears. They practice with bears. They put helmets on bears, right? All right, we're talking about beast mode in a minute.
I was going to say, are they practicing with Oakland Raiders, though?
Yes, indeed. All right, let's take a look at now. We're going to go to the city section. Randy Rosenblum is going to have this update on the Los Angeles City section.
In the city section, we have to start with prep football and the East LA Classic. Garfield over Roosevelt again, 34-14. 8th straight victory for the Dogs in the series. Roosevelt actually scored first in this game, but the Dogs were able to score the next 21 points. It was an interesting game in that Jenny Ibarra becomes the first girl to score a point in the Classic, a point after a touchdown for the Bulldogs. Fine kicker is Jenny. Adam Polanco also had a big game throwing the football for the Bulldogs, very precise, including a late 55-yard touchdown to seal the game. Jefferson 46, Santee 32. The Democrats clinch the Exposition League title. Good. The Democrats finally get a victory in something, right? Romeo Dubes, 5 rushing touchdowns. He's on his way to the University of Nevada to play in the Mountain West Conference. Dubes has rushed for 1,159 yards, the 19 touchdowns on the ground. He's also caught 4 touchdowns. He's can play quarterback, wide receiver, and defensive back. And oh, by the way, on D, Romeo has 5 interceptions. In the Marine League, it was Banning 21, San Pedro 14. Jacob Garcia throws 3 touchdown passes, very accurate thrower for Banning. On the flip side, the Pirates ran the football with Sean Davenport, who rushed for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough as Banning wins in a game that took 3 hours plus, a lot of penalties in that Marine League rivalry. Lock 54, L.A. Jordan nothing. The 5th shutout of the season for the Saints. They win the Metro League. What a turnaround it has been there. They were just 1-9 last year. The Saints have won 7 football games this year. They are the league champions. North Hollywood 19, Poly 14 in a big rivalry game in the East Valley League. Eduardo Lopez throws 2 second-half touchdowns for the Huskies. Jared Gutierrez, his fine running back, rushes for 200 yards. Poly had the ball late, had a chance to win it, drove inside the 20 as time expired and the Huskies held on. Venice, in a good one in the Western League, gets by Palisades 34-28. Dion Moore, their quarterback, having a great year. And that sets up a huge game this week in that same Western League. As Venice goes to Fairfax, the winner there will win the league title. In the Eastern League, you always love rivalry games, right? Southeast at Southgate. Now, Southgate's one of 3 teams tied for the league lead right now, so it's a huge game in the rivalry for Southgate. They've had some injury issues at the linebacking position, so they're going to have to try to get healthy for their rivalry game. Banning at Carson is always a classic, right? These are the 2 teams that have won more city champions than anybody. So Banning at Carson figures to be a tight game, and it'll really depend on who has the ball probably last. They always seem to go down to the wire. San Fernando in the Valley at Sylmar. This is a huge rivalry, but San Fernando might be the favorite to win Division I in the city section come playoff time. They are very, very good. No question about it. San Fernando the favorite at Sylmar. And again, I think the Tigers have a great chance to win the Division I city title. You know, the seeds have come out for tennis, and every year the Palisades Dolphins are the top-ranked team. They're always the team to win the championship, it seems. They've won over 20 city girls tennis titles, and Bud Kling has a fabulous program. But there's been a great story at Cleveland this year in high school tennis. The Cleveland Cavaliers of Reseda are now moving into the top 4, and they have a ranking that's very good, and they're seated in the top 4. And they're getting it done with 2 freshman singles players. This is really unheard of. Amy Chen is their #1 singles performer. She's 9-4 on the year as a singles player. Victoria Kaplan is 8-1. So we'll see if the Cavaliers can get to Palisades and maybe pull the upset with the freshman. That's the news from the city section this week. Back to Rich Estrella and Bob Gibson.
Thank you, Randy. Great job with the city section, Bob. We talk about the city section all the time.
Yeah.
And It's crazy over there, man. They got some teams, though.
No,
They got a lot of athletes.
There's some good teams. I'm glad Randy talked about San Fernando.
Yes.
There's a team that I think is going to make some big noise in the postseason here.
We'll see what happens. All right. Now, Bob, we were kidding about beast mode, about Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch had a week off, so to speak. They had a bye week. And he decided he was going to go to his old high school and work out with the team.
Right.
Now, if you haven't seen this video, take a look at this. This is awesome. I mean, I remember I did this when I came back from my NFL bye week and ran with my stablemates at my high school. But here's beast mode. And I can't believe, like, they let this dude do this.
Right.
I don't think anybody knew this was going on.
You can't. Nobody could have known what was happening out there.
I mean, and they got to him once in the backfield, as you'll see. But after that, they didn't get him again. He just tore everybody up. Here's one they just kind of got him. That guy must weigh about 400 pounds in the orange football. Those are shorts, man. You don't even have any knee pads on.
Can you just imagine when he had gotten hurt in this whole thing?
Now here he goes. Oh yeah, you guys think I can't? Look at this.
It's Marshawn Lynch. Come on.
You gotta love it though. Who wouldn't want Marshawn Lynch to come to their high school and run fullback on the scout team for him?
Don't forget, Lynch got suspended for a game, running out on the field, right, trying to protect his cousin or his stepbrother, somebody out there on the Chiefs. So it's been a weird year for Lynch. He came back. He has not had a very good football season.
Bob, wait a minute.
I'm not sure if Lynch is really beast mode anymore. Maybe we'll start to see the tail end of beast mode
Bob,
here.
if I remember correctly, when it was announced beast mode was going, when he finally signed with Oakland, you were saying he was going to have 1,000 yards.
I thought he'd have a nice year here. I thought he'd come back. I didn't think he'd be the guy we saw with the Seahawks all those years. But I thought he could still, have a good year here. But the Raiders have not been very good this year at all. So maybe it just falls in line with the season the Raiders are having. I don't know.
It's tough what's been going on with the Raiders this year.
It's been a tough year.
All right, let's take a look at the national picture, if you will, and take a look at see how SoCal factors in. 1, 2, 3. Got 4 guys in the top, 4 teams from Southern California in the top 15, starting with modern day IMG Academy. Now, IMG Academy has only played 6 games this year, Bob, because they are not in a league.
Right.
Remember, IMG Academy means I am great at what I do in sports. It's a sports school, all right? So they've only got 6 games scheduled, but they basically beat everybody. And again, it's all professionals. That's not a high school, okay? But we've got to put them in there because everybody talks about them. I might just yank them out next week.
It's a football factory.
It is a factory. All right, Corona Centennial, number 3, followed by American Heritage from Florida. St. John Bosco, still number 5, followed by Allen, Texas. Allen, Texas has already played like 9 or 10 games. I think they're already done this year.
I think they played 15, right? Right there. Yeah, they played a heck of a
the ones that
season.
had that nice stadium that they couldn't play in. They spent $30 million on the stadium, and he can't even use it.
play in it.
What the heck's going on out there? Hey, Bishop Gorman from Nevada, number 7. The only reason Gorman's in against the other 3 undefeated schools is simply because Bishop Gorman played the number 1 team. Right. They played the number 2 team, and they've already played everybody. They played a great schedule.
That's a schedule. You play that kind of a schedule, you deserve to be up here.
Yeah. So I mean, they deserve to be in that top 10 simply because I didn't see Bingham, Utah go leave Utah.
No.
St. Francis Academy, they never left Maryland. Of course, St. Louis is in Hawaii, but they're all over the place, man. They're like a traveling football team.
And look at Mission Viejo.
Yeah, Mission Viejo, number 15.
Hanging at 15.
Oh, man, that's tough right there.
Hanging at 15.
That's tough.
Not bad. That could fall out of that. That could be San Clemente at 15 next week if they win that
Modern Day has got the toughest road to go because, number 1, they can meet Bosco, who's number 5 right now. They can meet Bosco in the playoffs and finish with Corona in the finals, or vice versa.
Just like what happened a year ago.
Right.
I think we're gonna see some kind of a combination of what we saw a year ago. Those 3 teams somehow will always factor in that open division.
Now, what if Orange County Bob somehow steps up, beats San Clemente this week? Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, and then they just got to beat one of the good ones on the way out.
He's going to have to, right? His final season, and his players want nothing more than to send him out with a championship. We could see it. Mission
Viejo. You really think they care?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
All right. I'm just asking. I mean, come on. I mean, Bob's been 40 years coaching high school football.
And he's won multiple championships.
He's won a few.
Right?
He won a few.
It's always for the kids. He's won his share. It's for the kids.
He's no Corona coach. What is it? Matt at Corona.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Let's just move on from this. But
Matt Logan. Right?
Yeah, we're talking about Matt Logan. But anyways, he's from, again with Centennial. Centennial's just playing good. They're still running over everybody. They beat Norfolk last week by 40.
Hey, it's old news. It's old news at Corona Centennial. They run over everybody every single year.
All right, take a look now at the matchups for this week, and all these games mean something to one of these teams. It's towards the end. All these games have a decision to make. So let's take a look. Start off with Fountain Valley, Los Alamitos. Both are 6-3 right now, but Los Al's already won the Sunset League.
Yes.
Fountain Valley has to win to get into the playoffs. Now, here's the backstory on this game. The coach at Los Al was coaching at Fountain Valley 2 years ago. Right. Remember, he moved to Los Al last year. Correct. Ray Fenton. Ray Fenton was the head coach at Fountain Valley. So now here you are. You're in the same league. And it's a playoff, man. I mean, here we go.
You like that little revenge factor?
I love it. Oh yeah, you gotta love that stuff. Why not?
you gotta like when there's a little side story.
Little backstory to it. Absolutely. Let's continue. Let's continue on and take a look at the next game, if we will, and see the next matchup.
Montebello and
Montebello.
Gardens,
Yeah, Montebello and Bell Gardens. Both of these teams are 3-1. Basically, they're both in. All you got to do, you know, in other words. Montebello's going to finish second or third, and Bell Gardens is going to finish second or third. Sure wins league, 4-0. So this is just basically for seeding purposes, but exactly. It's a good game. It's Montebello, Bell Gardens, hard-nosed football. These guys are so they mirror each other in a lot of different ways. But basically, Montebello averages 36 points a game. They allow 24, and Bell Gardens scores 35 a game and allows 26. So it's tight. There's no wiggle room here.
But this is big because you want that second seed. You don't want to have to get the third seed. Yeah. You would love to have that second seed going in. Just makes your road a little bit easier.
Well, Pete Gonzalez and Montebello is used to winning this league. Yeah. This year he's not going to. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, moving on. Newport Harbor, Huntington Beach is the next game.
Harbor finally got off the schneid a week ago. Finally got the first win of the season.
This is all about Huntington Beach right now. Huntington Beach wins. They get a playoff bid. If they lose, they're out. That's that simple, but I can't make it any simpler than that.
Hey, it's only a couple of years ago. Don't forget, this was the CIF championship matchup 3 years ago.
Really?
Newport Harbor, Huntington Beach won the game. They beat Newport. But just 3 short years ago, this was the CIF championship matchup.
So, I missed it somehow.
Right. Shows you what the Sunset League has become, that it's flipped a little bit, and we see Los Al back at the top of the heap.
All right, Norwalk, Artesia. Next game we saw Artesia hang 87 last week. They will not hang 87 on Norwalk.
No.
Or will they, Bob?
Well, if they did,
Norwalk's not Cerritos.
That's our top story next week if that happens.
It's not going to happen. All right, Amat at Chaminade coming up. Listen, Bishop Amat had a rough go in the preseason. They lost all their games in the preseason, and they've won 5 in a row once they got into the Mission League. Chaminade's only loss was to Bosco.
Yep.
All right, and it was fairly close, but you know, we talked about it early when the pollsters had Chaminade in the top 10. They belong there. They barely got by Notre Dame last week.
I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to go on a limb. Amat wins this game.
All right. Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm taking Amat.
Chaminade had a hard time beating Notre Dame last week, 40-35. How are they going to survive?
I'm taking Amat in this one.
Against Amat.
We'll win the football game.
All right. No, the last one, let's jump. Okay, La Habra, Fullerton, that's for the league title. Let's jump to San Clemente, Mission Viejo. That's the one we want to talk about. We got to get out of here. We got a minute to go. Mission Viejo and in San Clemente, they don't have it up there. Okay, well, anyway, let's talk about
it because it's
both
huge.
9-0. It's the biggest game this week. There's no bigger game anywhere in the country than this game. Mission Viejo in the South Coast League, taking on San Clemente, winner take all.
It's crazy. The stories about the two quarterbacks. You know, Costello has had a great season. Both of these quarterbacks have had great seasons. They will throw the football. They both run it just enough. Mission Viejo, I think, has a little bit of an edge on the defensive side, which is why I think they're the favorite going into this. But you got to toss a coin on this one. You really do. I don't know.
What about Orange County Bob? Isn't that the X factor?
Maybe that puts it over the top. But I don't know, San Clemente's just got a good team.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe all that
they have a good
emotion
team.
for Orange County Bob is
year.
enough for Mission Viejo.
Well,
maybe that's enough.
I don't know. Maybe
we'll
not.
We're going to find out. It's going to be a heck of a game.
It's going to be good no matter how you see it. All right, that's going to do it this week for the SoCal Prep Report. Don't forget to join us on our social media at Facebook, Twitter, what's that, Instagram,
YouTube. Come scream at us. Tell us something.
Got everything, man. Just go on there and leave a comment and let us know how we're doing, all right? So on behalf of Bob Gibson, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. Whoop.
That's the alarm. That's it.
Bye-bye. SoCal Prep Report. There we go. All right. That's